Rightio, Russell.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and good morning all. So this is the financial report for August, and being August, it's pretty early in the year. So the results that we've got here outline where we were, but the forecast, there's not been like a deep dive into that. That's happening now for the September report and as part of the annual plan build as well. But where we were sitting at the end of August, we had a surplus of 11.4 million, higher than budget, and we're forecasting at this point, like I say, it's very early on, a surplus of just over $9 million for the end of the year. Two factors are behind that. One is the savings in the insurance premium costs that you'll be aware of, also higher rate growth than we had budgeted for as well by about $1 million, so that makes up the bulk of that. Just highlight section 5.7 and 5.8. They're new sections in the report that we put in for this time. I'm happy to take any feedback either here or later. And so that's looking at where we were this time last year and a comparison on how we're going as well. So just flicking through the report, capital program, as Peter said, we're pretty much on track at this stage. We're forecasting a variance of $39.1 million by year end, but there'll be more on that in the PMO report to follow. We're expecting most of that to be requested to be carried forward. Treasury, all the metrics there are on track, and I guess just a bit of background to Treasury. I said yesterday at the annual plan meeting, LGFA are keen to come and speak with council, so we're arranging that meeting, and also we're talking with SNP folk. It's almost time for our annual review there, so that'll be we're organising the meetings around that. That's pretty much it that I sort of wanted to cover, Mr. Chair, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, hey, thank you for that. Just on that last point around the credit ratings, I know Wellington had a decrease or a decline a week or two ago. Is there anything going through our mind that would lead us to think that we'd be in the same position?
It's a good question. We haven't heard anything. And we knew those, I guess, declines were likely. They'd signalled that previously. Christchurch City Council and CCHL were probably the outliers when they're looking at the sector across the board. Our headroom and our revenues through CCHL are both strong contributors. When Standard & Poor's looked at the sector, there was a number of councils that went down, not just Wellington. But yeah, there's been nothing signalled to us. Just maintaining a balanced budget is good, that metric that we keep. We've spoken to them about that, and they're comfortable with the position that we're in a number of levels. So yeah, certainly nothing at this stage, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great, thank you. That's good to know. Does anyone have any? Tyler?
Yep. No, just quick feedback. Referring to number 7, it has plain language meaning. I really appreciate that. It was really cool. So,
okay.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tyrone.
Thanks, Russell. I was interested in the phrase higher rates growth than budgeted, and if you could just talk us through that.
Yeah, sure.
What the outlook for that is.
Okay, just through you, Mr. Chair. So when we set the annual plan, well, and this time the long-term plan, we estimate as much as possible, and estimates it's a lot more scientific than that term would probably give credence for, where we expect the number of rating units to be at the end of the year. We can never get it exactly right because we've got to adopt the LTP beforehand, but we estimate where it's going to be. And this year we're a bit short of that, as we tend to be a bit conservative in that space. We don't want to overestimate the number of units we have, because effectively that would mean we would have less rates than we get, and that's not a good position to be in. So we tend to be on the softer side. And so what this is referring to is the gap between where we estimated it would be and where it actually happened at year end. So it's as at 30 June that's the number. That's locked and loaded. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. And can I just follow up, Sam? So what's the trajectory looking like? Is it different than normal, or is it similar to normal of rates growth?
So we did, I think it was about 0.9 we used to put in as a provision, but recent years has seen that grow. So we are significantly ahead of that for the LTP. We're discussing with QV now on where they see things going for this year and where we're likely to be. It's an important number that is part of the annual plan discussions as well. But certainly the number of we've just seen a growth higher than in previous years. Yep.
The good thing about it in my simplistic mind is that with the overrun, then in theory it gives you choices like we talked about yesterday with the annual plan.
Yes.
So we've effectively taken, you could argue we've taken too much money off people now, so it needs to be corrected when we land the next annual plan. And that's just one of those options that'll come back when Russell and the team do the work. Kelly?
Yeah, thanks, Russell. Just in terms of personnel costs, could you just explain corporate increases not yet applied?
So we budget for, I guess, salary increases based on union discussions and the like. They haven't been settled yet, so they haven't been applied. We budget for them, so they're in the budget. So they haven't been paid out, so because they haven't been settled.
When's that likely to be?
It's. I understand it's getting close, but yeah.
And the other thing was just in terms of providing a bit of context for us. Obviously, there's vacancies that haven't been filled. And it's pretty much the same over the last year. Looking at the graphs, etc. Is that consistent? I mean, are we slowly filling those vacancies, or has it been an awful lot worse?
I think it goes in ebbs and flows. We've set probably about 10% vacancy factor over the last few years. The number I saw for August was still about 10%. Like, it's not the same people, obviously, but yeah, it's sitting around about that. We budget for that when we set the budget. The number of vacancies that we're likely to have. So we put a percentage in to try and capture what that will be. Yeah. Because we're never all the time fully staffed, unfortunately. Yeah.
Does that significantly affect levels of service?
So I thought you missed it. In some cases, it would have an impact. I think if it's significantly affects, you would hear that. I wasn't seeing that in Peter's report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I'm happy to move that. Victoria's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Russell. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last item in public is the Capital Program Performance Report. So, Paul, do you want to come up?